It's generally accepted that the first two Terminators are a cut above the rest, and that Salvation and Genesis are the worst of the bunch. But then there's the other third of the franchise. Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines and Terminator Dark Fate. They are very much the Scream 2 and Scream 4 of the Terminator franchise, where they're not the best, they're not the worst, they're in the middle, and there is some debate over which one is better. So that is what I'm going to argue today. Due to the nature of this video, I'm just going to put out a general spoiler alert.
It looks stupid.
You look stupid!
Film is a visual medium. Filmmakers have to create a world that feels real, and with movies like these, that includes visual effects. Remember how amazing T2's special effects were? Check out T3's effects. CGI that's used to bring the TX to life isn't the worst, but it's definitely a step down from the T1000. Here's the T1000 transforming. Here's the TX transforming. Something just doesn't feel right. I'm no VFX expert, so I rewatched Corridor Crew's videos for my notes on this. Look how bright the light is on the shirt before it transforms. Notice how the reflection on the TX's head is darker than the shirt. This seems to imply that the shiny chrome is somehow less reflective than the sweater. Also, the shot of the TX crashing through the gravestone looks like shit. Stone and concrete don't bounce like that. Now, with that being said, there are a bunch of great visual effects in this movie, most of them practical. The car chase with the big crane arm is one of the best action sequences in the entire franchise, and it's largely due to the mostly practical effects. The bathroom fight, on the other hand, is mid at best because it's got a whole bunch of dodgy CGI mixed in. Now let's look at the stuff from Terminator Dark Fate. Here is the Rev 9 transforming.
Buenos días.
Look how much better that looks. The light reflection and all of that is consistent with the environment. It just looks so much better. And also, the liquid metal effects have definitely improved. Let's jump to the opening. Look how good this digital de-aging looks. Goddamn! Also, fun fact, they actually used a deepfake as a reference for John in this scene. The deepfake was not in the finished product, they just used it as a reference. And that is how that sort of thing should be used, be it deepfake or just AI art. They should not be used as the final thing, but using them as a reference is perfectly fine, and can actually inform the artists. Let's check out the plane fight.
Open the cargo bay!
The plane fight is so chaotic, and yet everything looks convincing. And fun fact, in a couple of these shots, Grace is fully CG. And I'm not going to show you which ones, and I'm not going to tell you which ones, because odds are you can't tell either. And then the final fight. Whipping has never looked this cool. Look at just again, more of the awesome liquid metal effects. Also, I love the Ghost in the Shell homage with the skin on Grace's arms splitting open from the effort and the strain. So yes, as far as CGI, Dark Fate gets the edge.
Number 1, the body count is always bigger. Number 2, the death scenes are always much more elaborate.
It's the duty of any action sequel, or really any sequel with any sort of person-on-person conflict, to raise the stakes. And there are two main ways you can do that. Make the villain stronger, or the hero weaker. Both T3 and Dark Fate shows option 2. And since they're both direct sequels to T2, that means they both try to one-up the T-1000. Terminator 3's villain is the TX, aka the Terminatrix. I see what you did there. Dark Fate's villain is the Rev 9. They both combine the T-800 style endoskeleton with the T-1000 style liquid metal, but that's pretty much where the similarities end. The TX is an anti-Terminator Terminator. Under its liquid metal, it carries a variety of onboard weapons, including a plasma cannon, flamethrower, and a whole shitload of other stuff we never get to see it use. It also has the ability to hack into other machines and control them. Although, as we see, this ability is much more effective with simple machines like vehicles than with more advanced machines like the T-850. And I'll admit, it's a cool ability, but my problem is that the onboard weapons thing completely negates the whole no bringing weapons back in time thing from the first two movies. Because it's like, oh, we found a loophole! But, like, really, I don't think that, given the rules that is established, I don't think that should have worked. Or, if that's the case, they should have been able to send weapons back with the T-850. However, for all of its awesome abilities, the TX has a fatal flaw. Its liquid metal and endoskeleton are permanently connected to each other, meaning that the polymorphing is much more limited than that of the T-1000, and the fact that it has a T-900 sized endoskeleton means it could never, become the floor, but like Robert Patrick did. And like, I think it was Cody Leach said in his review, when they're permanently connected together, that ultimately just makes you easier to kill. Like the TX, the Rev 9 is essentially the first film's T-800 and T2's T-1000 blended together into one model. The difference is that the Rev 9 can actually separate into the endoskeleton and the liquid metal, and they can operate independently of each other. Obviously, this is presumably limited, and while they're separated, they are physically weaker than they are together, but it gives you versatility. It means you could double team something. If it was a D&D game, you could flank an opponent with yourself. Actually, that's a really cool ability. I might have to use that for something. The Rev 9 proves to be far more durable than any Terminator yet seen. It gets hit in the head repeatedly with a sledgehammer, hard enough to crack the concrete beneath it. It has an engine block dropped on it, gets hit by multiple cars, blown up by an anti-tank rocket, has an entire magazine of 5.56 rounds unloaded in its face at point-blank range, and falls thousands of feet out of a plane twice with no permanent damage. It takes shoving it into a hydroelectric turbine to actually cripple it, and then having its head melted into slag by a weaponized thorium fission reactor to finally finish it off. And unlike the TX, this robot sticks to T1 and T2's rules of no weapons. You can only come back as you are. And yes, that means theoretically it is less of a threat, but really from what we actually see, the TX didn't make great use of those weapons. As far as raising the stakes goes, Dark Fate does it better. There's one detail, I don't really know where to put this. This isn't really like a proper heading or whatever. I just wanted to include this, and that is the how each of these robots counters the T-800 or handles the T-800. The TX is an anti-Terminator Terminator, so in theory it is more of a threat, but ultimately it is not really. But let's look at Dark Fate's timeline. Carl, being a Skynet creation that comes from a less advanced future, actually fares better against the ridiculously advanced Rev 9 than Danny's other protectors. But here's the thing. He comes from a future that never happened, so neither Legion nor the Rev 9 would have any data on the T-800. They are cosmetically similar, but they're different machines that function differently. When the Rev 9 fights with, say, Grace, it is a rapid, fluid, kinetic fighting style with lots of combat parkour and dodging. Carl instead relies on the old Terminator hand-to-hand standard, grabbing his opponent and slamming them into things with power the Rev 9 can't counter. During the fight on the C5, the Rev 9 seems surprised by how strong and resilient the T-800 is and shows hesitance it never displays while fighting Grace. In the Dam fight, the T-800's chassis is strong enough to completely no-sell the cutting power of those liquid metal blades. That actually has no bearing on the quality of each film. I just thought it was an interesting detail and I wanted to include it.
Beautiful!
It's enough to make a grown man cry.
You could have the best special effects in the business and a villain who's a legitimate threat, but it all means very little if you don't have a solid script. In Terminator 2, John Connor was a little precocious and a little whiny, but also fairly bright and sympathetic. He's annoying sometimes, but you also understand why he is that way. T3 takes John and makes him an idiot. It takes him a couple minutes to realize that the Terminator sent back to protect him is not the same one from T2.
And it takes a couple of minutes.
Do you even remember me? Sarah Connor? Blowing up Cyberdyne? Hasta la vista, baby? Ring any bells?
That was a different T-101.
What do you guys come off an assembly line or something?
Exactly.
Why would you assume it's the same machine? Why would you assume it has any memory? That thing was destroyed, remember? And I mean, he makes other smart decisions in the movie, but still, that really paints him in a bad light. Not to mention the fact that Sarah Connor is unceremoniously killed off screen. I mean, yes, they have John say,
They only gave her 6 months. But she fought for 3 years.
but ultimately it just feels cheap. Be it the script or the fact that 2/3 of the leads don't emote very much. I don't really care about the characters in this movie. Claire Danes is so Arnold is Arnold. Arnold kills it as a T3, but he's not exactly great for being, he's not exactly one to be emotional. I mean, there's a reason people say that Arnold was the perfect actor to play the Terminator. And that's not just because he has the perfect physicality and he absolutely nails the physical things, like the fact that his eyes move before his head like a security camera. Or the fact that it was Arnold, in the first movie, it was Arnold's idea that the T-800 would be able to, say, reload a gun without looking, because it's just that good. It's also the fact that he doesn't really emote. He's not that great at showing emotion on camera, so having him play the machine is perfect for him because he doesn't have to emote. It takes what is really his biggest weakness as an actor and turns it into a strength. However, at the end of the day, he still doesn't emote all that much. And then there's Nick Stahl. Nick Stahl is probably the weakest John Connor. I've only seen him in this and Sin City, and he was honestly fine in Sin City. He's like Natalie Portman, but not quite as talented, where he relies a lot on the director for his performance. I do think that Jonathan Mostow is a good director, but I think that he and Nick Stahl were not a good team as far as him informing Nick's performance. I don't think they did a very good job with that. Dark Fate also kills off a major character, but unlike Terminator 3, it does it on screen and it actually affects the rest of the movie.
Once, I saved 3 billion lives. But I couldn't save my son. A machine took him from me. And I am terminated.
We have Linda Hamilton back, and she is killing it. There is as much drama in this one as there is in T3, but here it actually works better. Largely because the acting is just better overall. Tim Miller has a really good understanding of like when to be serious and when to be funny. Making the first Deadpool probably helped with that, because that movie is largely a comedy, but it still has its serious moments. We get interesting character dynamics that T3 didn't have, like the fact that this isn't just a Terminator, this is the Terminator that killed John Connor. And so of course Sarah is going to be super hostile towards it.
Sarah Connor.
Sarah! I'll kill you! I'll kill you! What the fuck are you doing? Let me have it? No, Sarah, you need to calm down. That thing killed John! Is that true?
Yes.
We have Grace as a very different kind of protector. Like, her mission is to protect Danny, everything else be damned. And to be fair, she does that. And yes, the reveal that it's not actually Danny's child, but it is Danny herself who leads the Resistance, not that hard to see coming, not that revolutionary of a reveal, but it works for the story as given. Because of course that would be Sarah's assumption, because that's what happened to her. And Grace just doesn't bother correcting her until later. We get a full emotional arc with Sarah Connor. We get this very, very emotional scene between Sarah and Danny, and Linda Hamilton absolutely nails it. She's so goddamn good.
I don't have a photograph of John. I never took any. I thought that they couldn't find him if they didn't know what he looked like. But now I'm forgetting his face. I'm sorry.
So, as far as a compelling story goes, Dark Fate does it better.
Same, but different.
This is where we see the biggest differences. T3 was basically a retread of T2 with a few details changed. Terminator with boobs? Check. Car chase with different vehicles and more destruction? Check. Different and admittedly fantastic ending? Check. The problem is that there aren't enough changes. This is still just a retread of T2 that follows basically the same formula. I will give T3 some credit, because it does make some changes, like the fact that we get to see the start of the machine uprising is something new, and it's honestly pretty good. And like I mentioned, the ending is completely different from the ending of T2. I don't know if the ending is better than the ending of T2, but I fucking love T3's ending. Like, the ending is the best part of the movie. Not the credits, I'm not one of those assholes, the actual ending.
Why didn't he tell us? Why did he lead us down here? To live. That was his mission. There was never any stopping it.
Dark Fate borrows a page from Halloween 2018 and actually does something new with classic moments from the originals instead of just replaying them. This time, Sarah says,
"I'll be back."
And Arnold says, "I won't be back." We get new dynamics thanks to Sarah and Grace's initial hostility towards each other. We get some realism in the fact that Grace's cybernetics do a number on her body.
What is that?
I've never seen anything like this. Let's get some pictures.
What's been done to her?
How is she even alive with all this stuff in her?
And because her metabolism was tuned for short, intense bursts, she crashes when she runs out of energy, so it adds a new layer of difficulty, which, like I was talking about earlier, ups the stakes. This time, instead of the villain just being, oh, it's the T-1000, but it also has weapons. This time, it's the T-1000 with a T-800 inside of it. And they can operate independently of each other. So now there's two of them. And they're both trying to kill you at the same time. It's pretty awesome. Also, the fact that this movie takes, or at least the first chunk of this movie takes place in Mexico, gives us some different scenery. When it moves into the States, we still get some environments we've never seen before. Oh, also, this is not really part of this is just a smart decision, but finally, someone in these movies actually flies a helicopter more than 50 feet above the ground. Imagine that! And then we get a new wrinkle on the Protector Terminator with Carl. Carl is not a T-800 who was sent back in time to protect John Connor or anyone else. Carl is a Terminator who was sent back in time to kill John Connor after the events of T2 and succeeded, and then was just left there with no purpose. I don't remember whose idea it was, but like someone making this movie asked the question, what happens after a Terminator completes its mission? And we get to see that. He/it learns to become more human, ends up having a family, not biologically, but like finds a mother and son and helps them, and they become a family. And yeah, I buy it. Like, his explanation of what he contributes to the relationship makes perfect sense.
Our relationship is not physical. She appreciated that they could change diapers efficiently and without any complaints. I am reliable, I'm a very good listener, and I'm extremely funny.
And also the fact that he has a drapes business, and just him talking about that is one of the funniest moments in this movie. Like I said, this movie's got some really good humor. As far as making it different but not too different, Dark Fate gets the edge.
This is the end, friend.
Look, I'm not saying I'm right, because opinions are not facts, and you're entitled to yours. If you think T3 is better than Dark Fate, that's fine. It definitely has redeeming qualities, it's definitely a good movie, and Dark Fate is not perfect. However, when you break it down, just look at the side-by-side comparison, there are so many things that Dark Fate just does better. And those are the things that are most important to me when it comes to making a movie. So, yeah, Dark Fate is definitely better, as far as I'm concerned.
So you're Carl?
That's what everyone calls me, yes.
I'm never gonna fucking call you Carl.
Damn it! Carl! Wake up!
Hey everyone, do you agree or disagree? What are your thoughts on these movies? Do you think either of them are better than the first two? Do you think Salvation or Genesis are better than either of them? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. Like and subscribe and all that. If you don't like the video, tell me why and try to be constructive, and then subscribe anyway. You'll be notified when I upload a new video, watch that, tell me why that one sucks. Or maybe where I've improved, whatever the case may be. That's all for now. Stay safe in these crazy times.